Hello, this is Tomas Estrada-Palma, and you're listening to the Hogwash Report. Today on the Hogwash Report, I like to discuss the price of gasoline and food. Unfortunately, you hear a lot of hogwash over the media about why gasoline and food is getting expensive. It's hogwash. I'll give you an example. I'm in the grocery store the other day, and I hear an older lady complaining to a stock clerk who worked there at the grocery store about how expensive a certain item of food, I think it was bread. We were in the bread section. And the clerk responded, well, prices go up. And to me, it was quite obvious that neither one of them knew why prices went up. They hadn't a clue. I'm watching CNN the other day, which is mostly hogwash. And part of their hogwash was the reason that gasoline was getting expensive, because now they're having to admit it. I mean, you know, they can say there's no inflation, but come on, if you're going to the pump and it was $1.70 back in 2008, and now in the beginning of 2011, it's over $3 here. It's about $3.05. I tell you, we're lucky here. I don't know why. They must have the end of the pipeline must come right here to Edgewater, Maryland, where I'm at, because I usually get the cheapest gas in the area. But even so, when it's over $3 a gallon, heading to $4 a gallon, the people in the media, you know, they all work together, by the way. That's why it's hogwash. They have to come up with a story. Well, the story now is the Chinese. Dang Chinese. Aren't they always doing something? Well, that's hogwash. They're saying the Chinese are using so much of the gasoline and oil now that demand is causing the price to surge. And, you know, there is a element to supply and demand changing the price of things. But the major factor of why your gasoline is getting more expensive and why your food is getting more expensive is the inflation of the dollar. Now, on the Hogwash Report, what we try to do is we take all of these highfalutin ideas about economics and society and break it down into simple terms that the everyday guy can understand. And it's as simple as that. The reason your gasoline is going to double in price and triple in price is because Benjamin Bernanke and the Federal Reserve Board, which is a private bank owned by foreigners, mostly. There's some domestic owners, but they're also foreigners. How we ever got to the point where foreigners could control our money and rent it to us, well, that's hogwash, obviously. But you didn't know that, okay? And I understand that. You didn't know that. They try to make it very complicated. In fact, they make it sound so complicated with all these terms like quantum easing. My God, you go to the dictionary and look up quantum easing. It's not even in there. You can find quantum. You can find easing. But what the devil does quantum easing mean? Well, it's hogwash. It simply means printing up more and more money. Well, if you look at it and compare, just look at gasoline and gold, or gasoline and silver. These things, they kind of stay about the same. You know, today you can buy $1,400 worth of gasoline with gold. You know, about 30 bucks an ounce of silver. You know, well, now that fluctuates a little bit because there is a part of it is supply and demand, and the same goes for gold and silver. And when people get a little nervous about the paper money, which when you come right down to it, it ain't worth anything. It's paper. It's paper. The sweater's worth more than the money. And the worst part is, now they can do it electrically. They got electric money. Electric money, you don't even have to pay for the ink cost or the paper. You just put an extra zero on the end of somebody's bank balance, and whoopee, they have money. So you can't listen to the hogwash that's coming out of your television set. It's hogwash. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Now, as far as food prices, it's the same thing. They're just putting up too much money. On top of that, it's been a bad year for weather and growing conditions. There's been floods and other, freezes and things like this that has cut the supply, really, and they're not telling you. It's hogwash. You better get ready. I would suggest forming neighborhood gardening groups, and everybody garden and swap vegetables. Because the problem with gardening, I find, is, I'll have 1 million tomatoes, but I could use a cucumber, or I could use something I don't have. And if you would just trade those staples, we can survive this thing, because it's going to get bad. I'm telling you, it's going to get bad. And no matter what they say on that television about it, it's hogwash. Now, of course, they do tell you some things on there that are the truth, I will admit. About the Britney Spears underwear situation, what narcotics Lindsay Lohan is snorting or eating or rubbing into her belly. I mean, okay, if you're interested in those things, fine. But that's just to kind of lead you around by your nose. So it'll occupy your time. And you won't bother looking into these kind of things that are vital to your future. Don't you realize when they play with the money, every time they print more money, they're making your labor worth less? Yeah. Because as they print that extra money and make everybody's money worth less, till the point where it gets to be worthless, like in Zimbabwe, but every time they do that, they're making your salary less. Even though you're getting the same amount of money, you can't buy as much. So your value becomes, your labor becomes less valuable. And if you don't realize that, well, it's a pity. But now you know why your gas prices are going up. And now you know why your food prices are going up. And these things too will work together, because you got to transport that food over to you using gasoline and diesel. You got to slather the fields in these big corporate farms, Archer Daniel Midland and Monsanto and people. You got to put a lot of petrochemical fertilizers onto them. That also comes from oil. Petrochemical, that's oil. Just wanted you to know that. Some folks don't know that. It's all oil. It's all oil-based. So that's going to add to the cost of food. And the thing that shocks me is not just the cost of food, it's the availability. Normally in my life, I'm 56, and in my life, I've gone to the store, even in the 70s, no matter what. Always, ample food, a huge selection of foods that you could choose from, even if the price was a little pricey from one time or another, for one reason or another. But now, it's surprising how bare the shelves are in the stores. There's just not stuff to buy. And the stuff that's there to buy is getting more and more expensive. And you better realize that. And you better realize it pretty quick, or you're doomed. This is serious business. But in the meantime, this has been Tomas Estrada-Palma with the Hogwash Report. Don't believe the hogwash. Come on back here next time. If you have any questions, just email me at trestrada-palma@yahoo.com. That's trestrada-palma@yahoo.com. My great-grandfather, he was the first president of Cuba. So if you forget all that stuff, look up the first president of Cuba, and you'll see my great-grandfather, Don Tomas. I got the same name. Not Don, I'm Tom. Tomas Ramon. estrada-palma at yahoo.com. Email me your questions. If you see it on the media, you know, unless it's an underwear situation, it's probably hogwash. But if you want me to explain why it's hogwash, drop me an email. I'll be happy to answer it for you. Y'all have a good day. Don't believe the hogwash. Bye-bye.